The New York Jets back on the road, taking on their division rivals, the New England Patriots, at Gillette Stadium in Foxboro for their second of two meetings. The Jets ended their season in 2023 at this stadium, looking to get Breece Hall involved, just like he was in January of 2024. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers taking center stage to take on the Patriots in his first game as a Jet in Foxboro. But the Jets could have some defensive reinforcements. We know about Hassan Reddick, but this guy right here, DJ Reed, back in the fold. So is Michael Carter II. The first time since Week 4, the Jets will have their starting corners in action. Welcome in to Pregame Central, presented by USVI. The spooky set here in Florham Park. Quincy Enunwa, Eric Allen, Ethan Greenberg, Jets Patriots in Week 8. EA, both teams dealing with losing streaks, and the messaging out of One Jets Drive this week has been play a little loose. Play a little free.
Yeah, have some fun, because the Jets have not had a lot of fun lately. They're on a 4-game losing streak. You mentioned the Patriots. They're struggling themselves. 6-game losing streak. But you have an opportunity to sweep the Patriots for the first time since 2000. And, oh, by the way, the last time the Jets won the division, that was 2002. That year, they started 2-5 as well. Now, a lot of people are going to look at the Patriots and say, you should win this game. The Jets just need a win before they face the Houston Texans. And I will say this, 4 teams, each of the past 4 years, one team has made the playoffs, okay, who started 2-5. So the Jets, hopefully, this is the start of something, Q, because this is a big week ahead. Because not only you have the Patriots today, I can look ahead and say you got Houston coming to your place, Halloween, Thursday night.
Yeah, they got to start something, right? And one thing they haven't been doing is starting fast. So hopefully today they start really fast and continue that. Because one thing that they need to continue to improve on, as well as starting fast, is their resilience when things don't go well, right? This is a season that's been going up and down, hasn't been exactly what we want it to be, but today is the opportunity to get on the right track. The Patriots are a team that's looking for a win, but they're a team that has not been operating at the best, at their peak level, right? They have a new quarterback out there. It's your chance now to fire at all cylinders with your new defensive end and make some plays.
Greens, it feels like a couple years ago, but it was Week 3 that the Jets played their most dominant game of the season, a 24-3 takedown of the New England Patriots. And we thought, okay, this is what we're going to see coming up, because the Jets had a 2-1 game, 2-1 record after that. But unfortunately, they dealt with a lot during that 4-game losing streak.
Tough sledding for the Jets since that game where the green and white totaled 400 yards of offense, 67% on third down, 75% in the red zone. Aaron Rodgers threw for 281 yards in that game and 2 touchdowns for a 118.9 rating. And the Jets were able to get the ground going, or the ground game going a little bit in that game. 133 yards. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen each had over 50. And I think that we're probably going to try to see a little bit of the same in Foxboro in a couple hours, right, Q?
Yeah, they have to go in that direction, right? The run game has not been great for them. This is something that they need to continue to improve on. Braylon Allen, Breece Hall, those are 2 backs that you want to really feature in this offense. I think this is a great opportunity for them. This defense is one that doesn't do very well, but they also blitz a lot. So maybe we can see a little bit more screens from these guys, just getting opportunities to put the ball in their hands. Obviously, you have Davante Adams now, so it's a great opportunity for you to get the ball on the edges. But I really want to see them really kind of hammer that run game. You're missing AVT today, possibly, but you still want to go out there and do a good job with these offensive linemen.
We're watching Joe Tippmann right now, the Jets center. He's probably not in a good mood after watching the Badgers lose to the Penn State Nittany Lions on Saturday night. But
we like that, though. Play a little angry.
Yeah. But Q's right. Listen, the Jets are averaging 82.4 rush yards per game this season. Breece Hall, 7th in the National Football League in scrimmage yards with 655. But it's a double-edged sword, because 49.7 rush yards per game and 3.7 yards per carry, that's a career low for him.
Yeah, and Breece Hall is a fantastic player. The last time he was there, he ran for a career high, 178 yards. And Quincy mentioned AVT. He was ruled out on Friday. Xavier Newman was placed on injured reserve, which likely means Jake Hansen going to get the start at right guard. But my question is, like, who's backing him up? Because honestly, the Jets, their linemen, in terms of the interior, we've seen a lot of them go down for this week, being AVT and Newman. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Again, the inactives come out at 11:30, and the Patriots also have a lot of players who are listed as questionable on their injury report. But for this game, we haven't talked about it yet, even though it's been a storyline for so much of the week, is the speech that Davante Adams gave the locker room after the Jets lost in Pittsburgh, talking about the lack of energy on the team and little things, just like patting each other on the back, celebrating big plays. EA, what's your take on the speech and really the reaction to the speech from the players inside the locker room, knowing that, one, Davante Adams is so well established in the league, but he hasn't been a Jet for very long?
Well, the message that I took from Davante Adams is that he's got a ton of urgency. He's coming here, he's looking inside the locker room and saying, hey, we have a good collection of talent, but you guys have to change the way you're playing right now, because otherwise this season's going to get away from you. It is going to get late early. And we're talking about a Jets team that is 2-5 right now. And I said on the postgame show last week that to get to 9 wins, you got to go 7-3. To get to 10 wins, you got to go 8-2. And I think it's a good message for the Jets, because last week there's Garrett Wilson, who third in the National Football League in receptions right now. But the message is to go out there and have fun. Don't play tight. Because last week the Jets faced a little bit of adversity at the end of the first half, 15-6. They got a lead. Interception by Aaron Rodgers, Beanie Bishop, who had 2 interceptions in that game. Steelers come right down and score. And then after that, it was an avalanche. It wasn't a snowball. It was an avalanche.
Yeah, I mean, Davante Adams came from a losing team. He absolutely didn't want to come to another one. He knows what he has in this Jets roster. There's so many great players. We talked about it all offseason. This is the year. They have so many different players that can really do well for this team. Davante Adams knows that. So it was great that he was able to speak up after day one, right? He played one game with this team. 95% of the snaps, that's ridiculous, right? You come onto a team in the middle of the season and you know exactly what you're supposed to do. There's a reason why he's here. Aaron Rodgers has great chemistry and he knows the offense. Now it's about putting it together. He sees that these guys are not performing at their peak level. You see a big play and you don't feel like you're feeling that energy that you know you're supposed to feel. That's telling you something as a player. So I'm glad he spoke up. Hopefully that kind of resonates with the team.
Okay, so when the media says the words, the Jets are playing tight, you're a guy who played inside those white lines. Davante Adams specifically talked about that Breece Hall reception where he goes approximately 60 yards and sets the Jets up for their second touchdown, and the guys aren't celebrating. What does it mean when he says Jets playing tight?
Yeah, I mean, it can mean so many different things. I think ultimately, like, one of the big things you heard him say was that they're not celebrating with their team. Some guys are just kind of sitting down. And I think when I think about it, I think the biggest thing for them is possibly like, man, are we going to score here? Because you don't have a lot of confidence in your team. So it's about this team really finishing drives, making sure that you're completing the drives, making these plays, scoring touchdowns, kicking the field goal that you're supposed to kick. All these different things will allow you to feel a little bit more loose.
Yeah, and Davante Adams, the second big acquisition in as many weeks. I'm using air quotes because Hassan Reddick was a Jet. He just did not report. This week he ends the holdout on Monday. And for more what to expect from Reddick today, let's check in with Caroline Hendershot in Foxboro.
Yeah, Ethan, Coach Ulbrich spoke earlier this week and said Hassan Reddick will play today, and there is no snap count. They're going to be playing it by ear and just kind of observing what he's capable of today. Now, defensive line coach Aaron Whitecotton said he spoke with Ulbrich. They don't have a specific plan for him yet. That will come closer to game time, but he did say that the biggest takeaway is Hassan Reddick has been a great add to this D-line room so far this week. He's been getting along with everyone. Everyone's enjoying him in the room. They're still learning each other, learning how to rush with each other, learning how to play with each other. But the main takeaway is that everyone has been having a great time putting in that work together.
Great stuff, Caroline. You're watching Pregame Central presented by USVI. Jets, Patriots. Coming up shortly here, less than 2 hours away. Hassan Reddick is no doubt a big addition to this Jets defense. And, you know, one of the differences between him and Davante Adams, outside of the obvious things, is that Davante's been playing. Even though, like this season, although he was dealing with a hamstring injury, Hassan Reddick has not played since the end of last season with Philadelphia. So all that to say, like, what are realistic expectations, EA, for Reddick to come in and be an immediate contributor for this Jets defense?
I got no idea, but I know Hassan Reddick is a professional, takes care of his body. So you would think that immediately he'll be out there in sub packages at least. Now, will he be opposite Will McDonald from the get? We'll have to see, but I would imagine that, hey, 25, 30 snaps would be great here for the Jets today. 50.5 sacks over the course of the last 4 seasons, 13 forced fumbles. What the New York Jets defensively need, yeah, they have to be better against the run, but they need more takeaways. Yeah. I think right now tied for 22nd in the National Football League with 6.
Yeah, and I think Hassan Reddick will help that. I think right now they're doing a lot of blitzing. Why is that? Because they're not getting enough pressure on the quarterback, and they have to play man. You're playing man. You're doing a lot of blitzing. You're putting your cornerbacks in a stressful situation. With Hassan Reddick out there, maybe you can get to the quarterback a little bit more. Will McDonald's been playing amazing. We love what he's doing out there, but we need some more help. We need some more guys out there to get to that quarterback. That way, now you can play zone. Now Sauce can read the quarterback. He can see what's going on, and I think that's where he will really play well. DJ Reed has been playing fantastic. We want Sauce to get those interceptions. We want him not to get those penalties, and a lot of that comes from playing man. You start to get a little grabby. You're hoping that somebody gets to the quarterback so you don't have to cover for too long. With somebody out there getting to the quarterback, now you're really being able to play a lot more loose.
And for the Jets, they're on the road this week, but if you want to see Hassan Reddick in person, the first chance you can do that is next week. So you got to make sure to secure a seat for Halloween Showdown at MetLife Stadium on Thursday, October 31st, when the Green and White host C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, presented by Moody's. A limited number of single-game tickets are available at nyjets.com/tickets. All right, continuing on the Hassan Reddick talk here. Obviously, Will McDonald, a lot of people think about him as being someone that opens things up. I believe that's DJ Reed that we're taking a look at right there in the beanie. And look, this is the first time since week 4 that guy, DJ Reed, Michael Carter II, and Sauce Gardner have played in a game together. So with that continuity, especially dealing with injuries at the safety position, like Tony Adams, who's doubtful, Ashton Davis dealing with a concussion, Chuck Clark on injured reserve. We talk about the pass and the rush mirroring each other and marrying up. EA, with a guy like Reddick who's able to make the quarterback hitch. That's always what the Jets defense says. One hitch, and that bodes well for the secondary. How beneficial is it now that not only Reddick's in the fold, but the Jets have a fully healthy slate of corners?
It's huge. Reddick is a closer. He can get to the quarterback. Great explosion. He moves differently than other people. We're watching DJ Reed warm up. Like you guys mentioned, you can make the argument that DJ Reed was having as good a season as any cornerback in the National Football League. And I think it's also flown under the radar quite a bit because the Jets have been in the news for multiple things over the past few weeks. But Michael Carter II is a valuable piece on that defense as well. So Brian Baldinger, I thought, did a great job with the film this week, saying that oftentimes you got Will McDonald winning and Quinnen Williams winning. It's going to help when you have that third person up front, Q.
Yeah, definitely. As far as the secondary, the past couple of weeks, a lot of the scores that have happened have been on the backup secondary, right? In the Buffalo game, it was the same thing. In the Pittsburgh game, it was the same thing. So when you have all 3 guys back there, it's a lot more challenging for people to score in the secondary. There's a reason why they're top in the passing game in the NFL, because of those guys right there. As much as we love the guys that back them up, those guys are the professionals. Those guys are the starters for a reason. So, having them back, it'll be a lot more challenging. Drake Maye is going to have to really figure out what he wants to go. You got to pick your poison, and those guys are not easy.
I'm glad you mentioned Drake Maye, because let's talk about this matchup a little bit. There's a rookie quarterback going up against the Jets defense, and Drake Maye, although he's lost his first 2 starts, has had flashes where you can see why he's the 3rd overall pick from this April's draft out of North Carolina. Last year for the Tar Heels, he threw for 3,608 yards, 24 touchdowns. He can use his legs as well, EA. And so this is a different quarterback than what the Jets saw in Week 3 in Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, he's been impressive in his 2 starts, but the Patriots have allowed 25 sacks this season, which is the 2nd most in the league, and a 45.5% pressure percentage, which is highest in the National Football League. And if you go back to Week 3, I think the Jets had 7 sacks of Patriot quarterbacks, 5 against Brissett, 2 against Drake Maye. And what Q was talking about with Reddick right now is that, hey, So maybe the Jets don't have to blitz as much. They can play coverage in the back, and you can rush 4 because you do have Hassan Reddick coming from one edge. You do have Will McDonald coming from one edge. And Quinnen Williams hopefully is going to be singled up a lot more here down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Oberk last year, and one thing he was really prideful about was the fact that they didn't have to blitz. They were dead last in blitz percentage last year, whereas this year they're more in the middle of the pack. And especially against that Patriots game this last time, they blitzed so much. I mean, it was kind of uncanny, uncharacteristic of them, right? And I think they may also do the same thing just because there's a young quarterback. But going forward, I know they don't want to have to blitz. They want to just be able to rush 4 and make it where it's really challenging for you with that secondary.
For more on this matchup, the Jets defense and the Patriots offense, let's go back out to Foxboro with Caroline Hendershot, who's alongside Quincy Williams.
All right, Quincy, you've seen this Patriots team once before. What is the key to this game to make sure you can sweep this series?
Stopping the run, being gap disciplined, and then also worrying about ourselves, the energy on the sideline, not really worrying about the fans or like the stadium, because this is one of those stadiums that you come in and they get rowdy, you feel me? So we love that. So just really like just keeping it in-house, making sure we get the celebration on the sideline when we make plays and stuff like that, because when we celebrate, you think about your next play that you want to make, because I got my celebration down packed. I'm ready for it. So most important is just keeping the game, bro, staying on the field with everybody.
One of those differences that you'll see this week is quarterback Drake Maye. You didn't see him the first time. How did that change your approach going into practices this week?
No, they're going to live and die in their run game. So their running back still the same. The game plan is still the same. But with that being said, you do have a young quarterback who's coming in. So it's just like changing the looks and things like that also, like any young quarterback. So, but the most important thing for like the first day, what we consider a success, is stopping the run game, because they'll live and die on that.
Now, lastly, Hassan Reddick joining the team this week. How excited are you to see him join the defense and kind of help make an impact?
I'm excited to first off see him in his uniform, just to have that different green on. So I was like, all right, he's certified now. And then it comes to like the plays he makes and stuff like that, with it being like a short week and things like that. Him just being a part of the 111, getting to the ball, that's all what I got for him right now. My expectations for him right now. Later in the season, we'll have like expectations for like mandatory sacks, mandatory this, mandatory that. But for today, bro, just being part of the 111, being a part of the team, and just doing your best for real.
Appreciate the time, Quincy.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Great stuff, Caroline. Great stuff, Quincy. You're watching Pregame Central, presented by USVI. Quincy Nunwa, Eric Allen, Ethan Greenberg, Jets Patriots around the corner. I'm glad Quincy was talking about stopping the run, because with the Patriots, we talked about that so much in Week 3. And when the Jets played the Patriots at MetLife, the Patriots totaled 78 rushing yards. Ramondre Stevenson had 6 carries for 23 yards. That's a 3.8 average. Antonio Gibson, 5 for 29, which is a much better average at 5.8. But the Jets climbed out to a lead, and the Patriots really couldn't commit to the ground game. Do you think that how much dedication to the ground game do you think will remain in New England? Because Quincy Williams thinks that it's going to be status quo, EA.
The first thing I'd like to say about Quincy Williams, you never have to worry about his energy. That guy is on all the time. Off the bus, he is ready to go, and he'll be ready to go today. We know teams are going to attack the Jets' rush defense. This Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers each amassed 149 yards on the ground against the New York Jets. I do think that the Patriots are going to have a mix. Drake Maye, he's an athletic quarterback. He can run it himself, but he looks to throw the ball down the field. But they can't go one-dimensional against the New York Jets when you're lining up Reddick, Quinnen Williams, Will McDonald. Then you're going to send your quarterback into a bad spot. They have to have some balance, and they're going to try to run the ball with Stevenson and Gibson.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a situation where you want to get your young quarterback kind of fresh and comfortable. So you might run the ball a little bit more than you usually do. It would make sense. Ramondre Stevenson had a better game last year against the Jets. Last time they played him, not so much. So maybe they'll try that again, because he is a talented back, just not having a talented year.
You know, and flipping to the Jets offense and this Patriots defense, Garrett Wilson, when he played Week 3, was held to 5 catches to 33 yards against Christian Gonzalez. But similar to Reddick, EA, with the addition of Davante Adams now, if you're the Patriots, you have Christian Gonzalez. Typically, he lines up against your best receiver. I'm interested to see Will he line up over Davante Adams if he shadows? Will it be Garrett Wilson, or will he just man one side of the field, and whichever one of those players lines up on his side, that's who he's going to decide to cover, because that's kind of what the Jets do with Sauce and DJ Reed for the majority of the time. So you talk about the power of 3 on defense. Well, the power of 2 in terms of receivers on offense, that's going to bode well for the Jets, specifically against one of the league's top young corners in Christian Gonzalez.
I agree with you. And the Jets have had some success moving the football of late. But again, over the course of the last 4 games, they have not exceeded 21 points. So if you're the Patriots defensively, you know you're going to give up yards. What you want to do is stiffen up in the red zone. And for the Jets, they have to play better in the red zone and finish these drives. And also, Quincy always talks about getting off to a fast start. Well, you have to finish ball games, and the Jets could be missing Allen Lazard today. He's got 5 touchdowns on the season, so maybe we see a little bit more of Mike Williams.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Williams is a guy that, there's been some controversy over the last couple of weeks, but I think he definitely wants to prove himself, prove that he belongs on this team. They brought him in for a reason. I would love to see them get back to doing jump balls with him. That's a guy that you have to incorporate in this offense. Put him singled up backside. Just give him that one-on-one opportunity. If you put him with Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, that's a dangerous combination. As far as the defense, they're definitely going to try to take away Davante Adams. They do a lot of man, especially when it starts to get to 3rd and long. They'll bring those safeties down, start to double the 2 top receivers. It's something they've done for a long time, even when Belichick was there. So he's continuing that kind of system. So you got to make sure that if you're a 3rd guy, if you're a 4th guy, that you're getting open. Maybe we can see a little bit of Conklin over the middle. We haven't seen that in a while. Aaron Rodgers' last couple of picks have gone to receivers over the middle, but when he throws to Conklin over the middle, it's not that same situation. So if you can incorporate Conklin in there, it's a different game.
Outstanding point, because I think Conklin's best game this year came against the Patriots.
That's exactly what I was pulling up. He had 93 catches, or not 93 catches, 93 yards. If he had 93 catches against the Patriots,
that would have been some kind of record.
That would have been a big record. Look, he had 5 catches for 93 yards. That's a season high for him. He scored his first touchdown since since 2022, last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's a guy that's definitely happy to find pay dirt. And Breece Hall, of course, we talked about how good he was in New England. But Jets fans, you got to make sure you never miss a single update. You can text JETS to 26154 to receive the latest news, game day alerts, and more straight to your phones. Terms and conditions do apply. You're watching Pregame Central, presented by USVI. Jets Patriots just over 90 minutes away. And I think it's time that we go to our X Factors here on Pregame Central. We're actually going to start in Foxboro like we always do. And let's start with Caroline Hendershot.
All right, for my X Factor today, I am going to go with self-inflicted wounds. And the 2 biggest factors that I'm going to be looking at are penalties and turnovers. Now, in the last 4 losses that the Jets have had, they've had 37 penalties and 6 interceptions, uncharacteristic of them across the board. They have all emphasized this. So if they can fix those little things, they'll be way more in control of today's game. They'll be able to dominate and play their style of football.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to follow up with that. It's very similar. I'm going with the team resilience in this one. Why is that? Because they have not been able to recover after these bad self-inflicted wounds. You think about those 2 picks they had against the Vikings. There were drops previously before that. Allen Lazard had one. Braylon Allen had one. That following play, 2 picks, right? So you can't make mistakes and compound mistakes. You've got to be able to recover. You've got to be able to figure out, okay, this happened, but what am I going to do next? That's the only way you can win it during the season.
My X Factor is going to be Davante Adams, because last Sunday in that Pittsburgh Steelers visitors locker room, he talked to the team about urgency and we don't have time. The Jets are 2-5 right now. Said go out there, play with swag, play with energy, celebrate with your teammates. Let's see if the Jets take Davante messages to heart this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a great point. I'm going to go with the Jets secondary as my X factor because, like we talked about earlier, Sauce Gardner, Michael Carter II, and DJ Reed have not played in a game together since week 4. And that's big for the Jets, especially considering the injuries at safety. Without Ashton Davis, Tony Adams listed as doubtful with a hamstring injury, and the inactives come out in 6 minutes, by the way. But that's a guy on your screen right there, and Isaiah Oliver, who was a cornerback when he was drafted, overlapped with Jeff Ulbrich in Atlanta. Then he goes to San Francisco. He's a reserve special teamer and reserve secondary player. Then he comes here, the Jets are like, we're going to move you to safety. Then the Jets get banged up in the secondary at corner. They're like, all right, can you play nickel? He's like, yeah, like every call, you got it, coach. Actually, Jeff Ulbrich, I think it's one of the greatest stories that I've heard this season, EA, that Jeff Ulbrich's like, hey, Michael Carter II got hurt in pregame warmups. Goes to Isaiah Oliver's like, hey, here's the play sheet. Like, what can you handle? He's like, yeah, call it all. Like, I'm good. And now, with uncertainty in the secondary at safety, now he might start at safety, EA.
Yeah, it certainly looks like he's going to be starting at safety alongside Jalen Mills. And that's a good story as well, because Jalen Mills, a former Patriot. And I thought he had great energy last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going to be circling him on my screen today against his former team.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Jalen Mills has to offer because, one, former Patriot, he said, he told me I'm not going to put a stamp on my emotions, if it means more to him. But he said by his pregame energy, I think it'll be pretty obvious that he's going to be pretty pumped up to play against the New England Patriots. And the Jets Fan Hall of Fame this year, well, it's presented by Ticketmaster, and it is back, celebrating the most passionate, diehard fans in the game. Submit your nomination today and tell us why you or someone you know bleeds green. Enter now at nyjets.com/fan hall of fame for your chance to be immortalized alongside the best fans in the world. Jets Fan Hall of Fame, where real fans live forever. All right, we got 5 minutes left here on Pregame Central, which means it is time for tomorrow's headline. And Quincy, why don't you bat leadoff for us?
Yeah, so the words out of the Patriots locker room recently was that they're playing soft, right? So my headline is the Jets soft launch. Right? This is the opportunity now. You have to go on a streak. You've gone on a losing streak. Let's get on a winning streak, and it starts today against the Patriots.
I like the word pun.
Yes,
by the way,
sir.
is that your take quickly on publicly calling out your team as in soft?
Oh, I mean, listen, you got it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I felt like he felt like that's what he needed to fire his team up. Hopefully it works for him. Actually, hopefully it doesn't work for him.
I'm going to go with Hassan Reddick and say Reddick's Jets debut, a rousing success. This guy is a special pass rusher, and I think we can lose track of that because he was not on this roster the first 7 games, but we're finally going to be able to see that. Great bend, great explosion, and also if the Jets have a lead late, he is one of the game's best closers. So I can't wait to watch number 7 come off the edge.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick, the second most forced fumbles in the league since 2020. And for me, I'm going to go with Jets D, as in their defense may have Pat's number, because my thing is, one, I do like word puns just like Quincy, and two is that I think this Jets defense is due for a very strong performance. And I'm not just saying this because of Sauce Gardner being back in the fold with his 2 other buddies in DJ Reed and Michael Carter II. It's really because this Patriots offense, rather, doesn't have the same kind of caliber of skill players that Buffalo has, that Pittsburgh has, and I think that this is a good matchup for the Jets defense if they play up to their standard, which I think the Jets defense is going to come out with its hair on fire. So I'm excited to see what that has to offer, and we're 3 minutes away from inactives being public. And look, I know that we've talked about the Jets injuries, but the Patriots have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players listed as questionable, and a lot of those guys are starters or very significant reserve players for New England.
Yeah, that ain't good. To your point about their skill position players, as we watch Sauce Gardner get warmed up here, Hunter Henry's their top target, the tight end. So the Jets have to account for him. They haven't got a ton of production on the outside at all this year, Q.
And Jalen Polk is out
this
week.
He hasn't been playing very well, so he's not much of a threat for them, honestly.
But I do think there will be ops for the Jets secondary to make some plays, because Maye is not a guy who's just going to check it down. He'll take the shots down the field.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to find his opportunity. I think really, though, in this game, I think if I'm them, I'm going to start with the run. Yep. I'm going to make it real simple for Drake Maye. This is a defense that will really get after you. Last time I played with Brissett, it was ugly for him. So you don't want that to be another opportunity. Get the run started, and if the Jets are smart, they're going to really make sure that they stop that run today.
Quincy, what's your take on, with a rookie quarterback, the Jets, when they're at their best, don't blitz a lot. They want to get home with their front 4. Hassan Reddick definitely helps with that. But under Jeff Ulbrich, since he took over as interim head coach, the Jets are a top 10 blitzing team in the NFL. If you're the D coordinator today, Quincy, are you sending the dogs at Drake Maye, or are you going to pull back a little bit?
I want to. The only thing I'm going to say is that with a run game, there haven't been a good running team, but if they can do well in the run with a mobile quarterback, that's always been an Achilles heel for this Jets defense. So you want to get back to that quarterback. Make sure he can get out the pocket and start running down the field because they could change the game.
Look, we are 30 seconds away from inactives, maybe a little less. So,
well, so before that,
get your thoughts in.
I would just say, we've been saying the last couple of weeks against the Buffalo Bills and then the Pittsburgh Steelers that these were must games. Today is a must. The Jets can't come home from New England a loser. They have to win this game today.
And on that note, let's take a look at the inactives for Jets-Patriots, which is officially 90 minutes away. Carter Warren, Izzy Abanikanda. Alan Lazard is a big name. He was doubtful with a chest injury, so to EA's point, perhaps more Mike Williams in the fold. Elijah Vera-Tucker, we knew that. Same with Lecky Fotu and Ashton Davis. And no surprise that Tony Adams is inactive against the Patriots as well. That's all the time we have here on Pregame Central, presented by USVI. Make sure to tune in to Jets Pats in 90 minutes and kick it right here for Jets Overtime following the game.